Oh, look at that, a skull. Huh. Looks like a, I don't know, a sheep or a goat. Something. Oh, there it goes. Hey guys, I hope you guys are all doing good. Well, things for me are rough, very stressful, and uncertain right now. Yeah, I'm just at a really difficult point here in my life. And a lot going on, a lot of uncertainty. Mr. Miyagi said something to the effect of, when life is falling apart, go back to the basics of life. So what's the very first thing you need to survive? Breathing. And then you go from there, then you build up from that. You go back to the beginning. You start from scratch, start fresh. So you breathe. Just take some deep breaths. Calm yourself down, clear your thoughts. Go back to the basics. You go back to the very basics of a life. Breathe. Take a mental vacation is what it's all about. Taking a mental vacation. There's just something so serene about nature. This is you, the trees, the rocks, the birds, and the wind. And now I don't want to leave. I don't want to go home now. I just want to stay out here. It's just so incredibly relaxing out here. It's like all my worries kind of vanish. Try it. You'll like it. I guarantee you it'll help. I'm sure no matter where you live, there's some place you can go hiking. Some nature walk you can do somewhere. There's nobody out here. It's just me. And you just focus your mind on the beauty around you. So you just really got to try and stop and focus on what you do have in life. And that's what I'm trying to learn to do. I'm trying to learn to live in the moment. Not knowing what I'm going to have in the future. So appreciate what you have now. Because if you don't, if you spend all your time worrying about the future, well, then you miss out on the present. The good times that you're having now. Or at least the tolerable times that you're having now. Or at least the windows of tolerable time, or the windows of fun times that you're having within the hard times that you're having now, if that makes any sense. One person that can change your life is you. That's something else I'm constantly reminding myself of. So you got to make the best of it. That's what I'm trying to do. And this is how I do it. One of the ways I do it. Going for my nature hikes. So my symptoms have been really bothering me again lately. The dizziness stuff. I get a lot of questions asking how I'm doing with all the dizziness symptoms, if I've gotten any better. And it seems like I've reached a point where I'm not really getting any better. I'm not getting worse either. I'm just not getting any better. I'm still having problems with it. It's still impacting my life negatively. I'm able to do a lot of things that I couldn't do the first couple years. But I still have a lot of limitations on my life. Still can't sit for long periods of time because the more I sit, the more my symptoms come back. And that's very limiting. I can't drive terribly long distances, and I just have to constantly make efforts to move around and not be sedentary at all. I can't even sit around as much as the average person can without incurring some significant problems. Or the dizziness just comes back and keeps getting worse until I find things to do to move around a lot, which is why one of the reasons why I go hiking all the time. It's been so hot lately that I haven't been able to. Although it's finally starting that part of the summer where it's starting to cool down a little bit. So I went for a hike today. So I've been going through a pretty bad flare up with the dizziness symptoms. That's been real stressful. It kind of feels like I was a year ago with the symptoms. Went to a 20th high school reunion, sat around, visited with friends, and I think that's maybe what triggered this flare-up. What it is decompensation. So when you have some sort of dizziness problem where you have previously compensated, gotten rid of your symptoms or have decreased your symptoms through vestibular exercises and such, once you reach a level of compensation, or any level of compensation, and you then sit and you're inactive for any period of time, that can lead to decompensation and your symptoms come back. So that's where I'm at right now. Because my dizziness symptoms are always there. They're never not there. And it's like chronic pain in a way. It just kills you mentally, having to being dizzy all the time, having symptoms constantly. Even if the symptoms aren't physically incapacitating, it just wears on you mentally. And I don't know if I'm going to have to live with this the rest of my life. But we won't know that for sure until all the tests are done. Just imagine having a bunch of pain somewhere in your body and it just never goes away. It's like that. Granted, there are times where I feel better or worse than other times. Like I've been hiking for a while now today and been moving around so much that I don't really feel terribly dizzy at the moment. But I know that once I get home, I will again. Got an unpleasant test coming up next week, a VNG test, where they're going to test my inner ear function and hopefully reach a diagnosis. So it's very stressful not knowing what this diagnosis is going to be. Is it something permanent, like I think it probably is, and what the doctors have kind of hinted at, or could it possibly be something treatable? If it is something treatable that requires medications, then you're like worried how you're going to react to the medications, if they're going to work, what the side effects are going to be. And then the test itself next week is going to be fairly unpleasant. And I have an anxiety disorder on top of all this, which just makes life 10 times harder. And not sure how I'm going to do during the test with the anxiety. So I'm worried about that. And I have another undiagnosed condition where I have these blind spots in my vision. It's kind of scary stuff, actually. About 3 years ago, I noticed some blind spots. Went to the eye doctor, and she looked inside my eyes and couldn't see the problem. And I have it in both eyes. And then just the other day, I discovered some more blind spots in my vision that I don't think were there before. More stress, more worry. Can I end up going blind someday? Kind of discouraging thought. I just have a lot wrong with me. I'm also pre-diabetic. Every time I get my blood sugar tested, fasting blood sugar test, every couple years, my results are worse and worse every time. I'm just getting closer and closer to diabetes. Even though I'm watching my diet, exercising a lot, taking the necessary vitamins that are said to help prevent diabetes, I just keep heading in that direction. So I've just got all these things that are just bogging my mind down. Just incredible amount of stress, and I can't seem to reach a sense of peace in my life at all. Just this constant background worry about all these things. And then all the doctor's visits, all the tests, the cost is just adding up and adding up and adding up. And I have insurance, but it's still adding up. So worried about finances now too. I've just never had this much stress in my life before. But there is one way that I can cope with it. And try to keep the worries and anxiety, about the anxiety and everything else, all the other problems in my life from spiraling out of control. And that's this, coming out to nature and just clearing my mind. And that's, I think, what everybody should do. When your life feels like it's falling apart, take a nature walk. Take a nature hike. I always come out from one of these hikes feeling 100 times better than I did going in. It just resets the spirit, resets the mind, puts me back on track so I can deal with life. Because life can be really cruel and difficult to deal with, sometimes unbearable. Trying to shift my what ifs to what if things get better? You know, what if we come out with new technology? It's another thing we all have to think of. So there's been a lot of new inventions over the decades, new medical advances. Maybe there will be a way to save my eyesight from continuing to get worse. Maybe there's a way to regrow damaged nerves in the inner ear, if that's what the problem is. So I just have to think positive for the future. It's hard, it's not easy to do. Maybe there'll be a way to cure my anxiety disorder once and for all. Reverse the potential diabetes that I seem to be headed toward, even though I'm doing everything I can to prevent it. Well, I guess I better do the hike back to my car. It's rattlesnake season right now, and I'm hiking through some areas where I have to really be careful on the way back. So I got to have a little excitement in my life from here, now and then. But at least I can do this now. At least I can hike now. In the first 2 years of this, whatever this is, it's affecting my inner ears, making me dizzy. I couldn't do any of this at first. Couldn't leave home, and now I can. Look at that. What do you think of that, huh? Live life to its fullest, no matter what's going on in your life? Would you guys agree with that? Good. Glad you think so. You guys want to be YouTube stars, don't you?